Unnamed Volume 1 Review. When publisher Yen Press licensed their new series, Unnamed, it generated a great deal of discussion, largely because the books were already very popular in the community. Today, I'm here to find out if Volume 1 is a worthwhile read after all that buzz. Our story follows Oscar, a prince of the kingdom of Farces, who bears a terrible curse. As a young boy, Oscar was cursed by the witch of silence, who made it so that any wife it took in the future will be unable to care on her and die. Seems that our protagonist has dedicated his life to becoming stronger and seeking a way to resolve this, which has led him to a tower built by the witch of the Azure Moon. This witch is said to be the most powerful of the five in the world, but to even get to her, visitors must first make it show the variety of challenges in her tower. Of course, for someone who wields the royal sword Acacia, which neutralizes magic, the climb isn't too difficult, and Oscar is soon standing face to face with the witch, who introduces herself as Tinashe. As Oscar has passed her challenges, Tinashe agrees to grant one of his wishes, so he asks her to marry him. As a witch, she's surely powerful enough to survive the curse, and is lovely at the first sight for the prince, but Tinashe refuses instead. Instead, she promises to stay with him at the castle for a year, researching his curse to break it and finding a more suitable partner for him. Compromise agreed on. The fools spend their days peacefully dealing with any problems in the kingdom, and becoming close friends, if not a little something more. The one thing I absolutely love about Unnamed is how the characters are handled. While Oscar may have brought Tinashe to the castle, she's by no means bound to him, and she gets up to plenty of things in her day-to-day life without him being present or even knowing. Likewise, Tinashe isn't always around when Oscar is busy getting himself into trouble with childhood friend Lazar or his other attendants. Considering how most series have the protagonists bound to one another, this is refreshing. Author Koji Furumiya has structured the book in such a way where the passage of time is woven into the narrative extremely well, and a lot of light novels, it can feel like nothing happens and the cast leaves unless we as readers are present, or worse things to happen, but they monologue about this in a way that feels unnatural. In Unnamed, the way the characters interact gives out the impression of plenty happening between the sections of their lives we're reading about. The more episodic approach of the story is also a benefit to world building. What the Kingdom of Farces is regarded as a peaceful place, and it doesn't mean there aren't those who train in it. For example, during a festival, a mage is murdered, which leads to Tinashe having to investigate. Another story focuses on an ancient beast being unleashed, which Tinashe and co must be defeat or reseal. Everything adds to either the world or the individual's characters without feeling forced or natural. Where the characters are concerned, both Oscar and Tinashe are perfectly likable. Although Oscar has a fairly stereotypical princely personality, he's kind-hearted and loyal to his people. He can be a bit obnoxious in how he repeatedly asks Tinashe to become his wife, but it's clear that's not coming from a bad place, that she really hated it. He would stop. Tinashe for her past is very free-spirited and sweet. She's stubborn and a good match for Oscar, in terms of being able to shut his substance down when he's needed. But underneath her strong exterior, she's no vulnerable something in her past. It's left her instant from humanity. As the series goes on, I'm looking forward to finding out what exactly that is. The way she interacts with Oscar is great fun to watch it even without admitting her feelings to him. It's clear that she's becoming fond of the prince, maybe even close enough to one day accept his repeated proposal. Honestly speaking, there is very little on the market like this right now, but even if there was, Unnamed will be well worth reading purely on the strength of its writing. Although the book is quite long, almost 300 pages, it doesn't outstay its welcome, and the episodic nature means you did dip in and out quite comfortably. The series is a transitional fantasy story with a plenty of swords, sorcery, and fantastical creatures to stir the imagination. Unnamed Volume 1 comes to the West thanks to Yen Press. It is translated by Sarah Tangley. The translation reads well, no issues to note mention. The series has been illustrated by Chibi, and I appreciate how their art captures the fantasy filled with the book without leaning into any unusual light novel tropes. Unnamed ongoing in Japan on 5 volumes, and Yen Press have a volume scheduled for English release in March. Overall, Unnamed Volume 1 offers a fantasy light novel series like no other. Author Koji Furumiya takes us on an adventure with lovable characters in a world that captures the imagination, and leaves you eagerly awaiting the next installment. 9 out of 10.